I was dreading making this video only because it's inevitable that we have to come to the discussion of what is next for Fuji. So back in October and November of last year, I released two videos, and I'll place cards up here if you want to look at them, on why I shoot Fujifilm, why I shoot the X mount, and why I shoot the GFX mount. And in each one of those videos, I actually put in there my thoughts on what Fuji should do next, where Fuji should go with lenses, with bodies for each mount. I even had a video earlier in the year where I spoke on what I felt Fuji should do when it came to the new megapixel sensor as well as a processor and so forth. I rave and still rave about the XS20, which I use for travel, and what Fuji was able to do with that, with the existing, I guess you could say megapixels on it, the same sensor with the new processor. I said in those other videos too, with the new processor, what I think Fuji should look at doing and what I think they shouldn't do. And I gotta honestly say, guys, I did not expect they were gonna put a 40 megapixel sensor in the XT50. I have not gotten the XT50 in hand. I have not reviewed it. I know that it's a great camera, and it was going to be a great camera based on the package that it was loaded up with. I mean, literally, it is a baby XT5, right? And that's kind of how the XT double-digit numbers went as far as their setup. I see the same thing for the XT20 or the XS20. So the XS line to me would be like the baby line for the XH line, right? So the XS20, as I fumble with the names, to me is a baby XH2S. And I think they did that right. I think they did it right with keeping it with the 26 megapixel sensor and putting in the new processor. It's a phenomenal camera. I love it. With the grip and everything, it is literally a baby XH2S. And that's what the XT double digit cameras are. I just didn't expect they were going to put in the 40 megapixel sensor. Honestly, I was thinking that, and you guys let me know in the comments. You let me know if you agree with me or not. I was thinking that they would save the higher megapixel sensor for the higher level cameras. I wasn't surprised to see it in the XH2 because it's a higher level camera. One that they want to entice professionals to use when doing pro paid work, right? So I expected to see it there. I expected to see it in their higher end cameras. So the next iteration of the X Pro 4, whatever that's going to be, I expect the same setup of a XH2 or XT5 inside of an X Pro 4. However they're going to design it, however special they're going to make it, so be it. But that's what I expect. I expected that in the XT5, so I wasn't surprised to see it there. I will honestly say I was surprised to see it in the XT50. And it got me thinking about Fuji and what Fuji's doing, where they're going next, what they're trying to do. And as a Fuji shooter, what I would actually hope to see them do in the future. On some most recent videos that I've posted, particularly in the podcast that I have going on the channel, we'll start with the GFX line. I stated that I would love to see them come out with a fixed lens GFX. I would absolutely be all over that. As a street photographer for the passion side of my photography, I would love to have a fixed lens, medium format, 50 megapixels I think is fine. 100 I think is way too much. 50 megapixels is great. I think if they brought back the 50R as a fixed lens, that would be phenomenal. And I would absolutely be all on board for that, all over that camera. But did we need a GFX 100S2? It has the new autofocus features in it. It has the newer sensor of the GFX 100 which I have, and so I can say, depending on if you're new to the GFX line, yeah, go after that camera. If you're not new to the GFX line and you have the 100S right now, may not be that need for an upgrade for that. So again, it got me thinking about where is Fuji going? What is their plans based on what I see and what I think they're going to do? And boy, did they surprise me. How have they surprised you guys, you folks out there that shoot Fuji, or for some of you who don't shoot Fuji? How have they surprised you? Um, there's a lot of things going on right now with Fuji that's giving them some negative attention too. I have the XH2S I'm filming on right now, and I did the upgrade, and I didn't notice that big of a change in the focusing, but a lot of people did. A lot of people noticed it and feel it needs to be fixed. And Fuji obviously has seen something to where, if you watch Anorama's channel, that Steph has creators come on and he'll do like an interview with them, and they had one of the US Fuji folks on there, and they said that a fix was coming out for the firmware at the end of the month. So I guess I'm looking forward to that. The fix that just came out, which works on the tracking for the talking head, I can honestly say it's doing its job. I used to be able to put my hand in front of my head like that and it focuses, but it would stay on my hand. It wouldn't snap back to my face like it just did as fast as it did. So that tweak is working for me, but I can't say I've had the issues with it. But should that be what Fuji's concentrating on right now? It's firmware upgrades, getting us the Reality A simulation and all of the cameras that will support it, getting us more improvements in the autofocusing on not just the eye and the face of humans, but all of the autofocusing features they have in there. I've used all of them. The only one I've ever had issues with was and is the birds, but with the focusing updates they had up until the 6.0 version, I've actually seen incremental improvements in it. So as a Fuji shooter, and if you're a shooter of other brands, you guys know now on the channel I also shoot Nikon. Every brand has their issues, right? Every brand is working to improve on those things that they're weakest on. And Fuji has definitely been working on autofocusing ever since the XH1 when it was introduced with the IBIS and so forth. They've worked on the IBIS. They've gotten smaller. They now have it on every new camera that's coming out. And they continue to work on autofocusing. Should that be what they're focusing on? Should that what we'll be looking forward to over the next couple of months? I know a lot of folks are looking for the X Pro 4, but did you expect they were going to put the 40 megapixel sensor in a budget camera? Now, some may think, no, Warren, it's not budget. That thing's like, $1,300 or whatever it is. And you're right in that sense. It's not inexpensive in that sense, but it is less expensive than the flagship XT camera that it is going to pull sales from, for sure. I'm impressed that they did that. I was shocked. They did. I expected they was going to get the same setup as the XT or XS20, I should say, and get the new processor, but keep the older sensor, 20 megapixel sensor, not get the 40. So when I look at the lines that Fuji has, they have a lot of lines now. They have a lot of cameras going, and I've not heard of any discontinuation of lines. So we could see an XE5. Will that get the 40 megapixel sensor, or would it stay with the 26? What do you guys think? Will Fuji come out with a new sensor, 26 megapixel sensor? Will they do something like Nikon just did with the release of or announcements and the soon to be released Z6 III, a partially stacked sensor? Would you want to pay more money on, say, an XE5 because it had a new sensor, new 26 megapixel sensor? So, or would you want the 40 megapixel sensor in the XE5? We have other lines out there, low budget lines. Do they continue to get the old sensor and get the new processor, or do they get a new sensor? Maybe that's it. Maybe Fuji's coming out with or working on a new sensor. I give Nikon points. I have the Z8 and the ZF. I do not see myself getting any other Nikon cameras. The Z8 is a phenomenal camera and is getting the job done on the things I need to use that camera for. Just like with the GFX camera and just like with my X-mount Fuji cameras. But I got to give Nikon their points on that. I also got to give Nikon, as a beloved Fuji shooter, as you guys know, I got to give Nikon points on their big incremental in some cases, improvements on the abilities of their camera, from the autofocusing to the processors to the battery life to the EVF to all of that. And that's what you want camera brands to do. And Fuji is definitely doing that. I hope to see further improvements in the autofocus, hopefully without any hiccups, but that happens. Every brand has their hiccups. So Fuji isn't the only one, guys. So yes, we could be upset about the firmware 6 dot whatever, but don't think that, it's not something that happens to every brand. Everyone has their issues. Where they become good customer based brands is how fast they fix that and take care of their customers. And I think Fuji has a good history of quickly going after, big issues. Now, whether they bring down features that are on the newest cameras down to the lower cameras, they have gotten a little slower in that. But keep in mind, Kaizen was a big Fuji thing before other brands like Nikon and started utilizing firmware updates to continue to enhance the existing cameras. And in my honest opinion, really give exceptional customer experience with that. So Fuji still does that, thankfully. Maybe not at the pace that we're used to, but they're still doing it. But what do you guys think should be coming up? What do you think they should be putting that 40 megapixel sensor in? What do you think? At this point, we know everything is going to get the new processor. That makes sense. But what about that 40 megapixel sensor versus the 26? Do you think they may be working on a new 26 megapixel sensor like Nikon just released? There's a lot of questions out there. Do you believe the rumors about a, fixed lens GFX? That'd be crazy though. I'd be all over that. I know this was just pretty much a rumble, a rant, but you guys let me know what you think. Where do you see Fuji going with the feature sets they have available in their higher end cameras for those cameras that have yet to be redone, re-released, new editions? So you got your XE5, your X Pro 4. You got, what else is out there? I think they still have the A100, or it's still a camera. There are a lot of cameras in the lineup. You got the GFX line that has the 102, the 100S2. Is there going to be another 50S, or is there going to be a 2 for that? There are rumors about the fixed lens. Does that mean the 50R is going to come back as a fixed lens? So there are a lot of camera bodies. What do you guys think they're going to do with all this as we continue to move forward? What surprises you think you're going to see? So, okay, enough of the rambling. I just was thinking about this, sitting here thinking about this, and I was like, I want to throw a video out and see what you guys think. And all you Fuji shooters out there like me, what do you think Fuji's doing? You agree with what they're doing? And what do you see them doing coming up in the next year or two? All right, later.